You are listening to We Are the Compassionate Revolution. I'm your podcast host, therapist, author, boundaries guide, Molly Moon. If you are a compassionate person and you want to know your worth, set better boundaries, live from your truth, and operate in your fullness, then I am so glad you've joined us. You ready? Let's get started. I don't deserve better. That is an internal belief, a mindset, that for many of us has been being carried around much like a big rock nestled right into the pit of our stomach. And it's been there for so long, we think it's normal. We compassionate people have such a high view of other humans. It's easy for us to see their worth. It's easy for us to see their value. Not only can we recognize the value in those around us, we can find compassion even for the people who hurt us the most. I mean, not always, but often. And that's something many other people find incredibly difficult or even impossible to do, but not people like us. Because we have such a high view of the worthiness inherent in our fellow humans. But we tend to have a very low view of the value inherent in ourselves. And I think this shows up in a somatic way, in an unconscious way, but in a very visible way at the end of the day. And many times we don't necessarily even know it, how it's affecting us. Because if you were to ask us logically if we have worth, many of us would answer in the affirmative. Yep. Because we know the answer is supposed to be yes. But that's not what we actually believe. And that's not how we actually feel. And it's definitely not how we behave, especially not when the rubber meets the road. And in my experience, and I'm speaking as a therapist, I'm also speaking as someone who now works with healers and helpers and other incredible humans doing deep boundaries work. And I'm speaking personally as a compassionate person myself. I think this pattern comes from living in a culture like ours, and dominant culture anyways, that sees worth as an outside game, while also experiencing inside of ourselves a powerful, natural connectedness to others, but without the boundaries to go with it. Because people like us tend to come organically wired to be other-centered, which is not a bad thing. The downside of this is that many of us have experienced extreme difficulty being aware of ourselves as independent beings of value. Now, we're beautifully attuned to our connectedness with others. And we have a powerful awareness of their value. And maybe for some of you, you're like, it's not beautiful. There's nothing beautiful about it. But yes, there is. Though perhaps it hasn't felt that way to you just because of how miserable it can be to be connected without boundaries. But I promise you, it really is a beautiful trait. It's just that you haven't yet had the boundaries to go with it. That's all. When that's the case, as it is for so many of us, then our other-centeredness and our connectedness to the humans in our lives, it doesn't always show up in the most beautiful of ways. I mean, for real. It gets all sorts of codependent or people-pleasing-ish or toxic relationship-y. Ugh. But that doesn't make the connectedness itself less beautiful. It just means we're missing boundaries, that's all, and that's fixable. But what I want to focus on today with you is how that missing sense of self-worth then causes us to fail to move forward or deepen into our healing. As in, we don't seek help. We don't prioritize ourselves. So even if we're dealing with a problem that is fixable, we don't go fix it. It takes us forever to get to the place where we'll finally let ourselves get the help to fix it. Because why? Because we carry a deep dysfunctional belief that we don't really matter. And so we think, it's not worth it. I don't deserve to get help. It's not a good use of resources. Or this one, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this one. If I get help, I'll take away resources from people who really need them. I don't deserve this. And here's where the contrast really starts to show in very practical, very tangible, very everyday life sorts of ways. If a loved one of yours, a spouse, a family member, a dear friend, needs help, what do? You probably encourage them to get that help. And in fact, and especially if you're highly responsible by nature, you probably start Googling resources before they even finish their sentence about how they need help. Ask me how I know. If you already know a place that they could go to get help, you're probably calling the number before they even blink. People like us, we have this beautiful responsiveness and a deep generosity when it comes to the people we love. Because we believe in them. We believe in their worth. We're excited when they're even considering getting help. Do they deserve it? Yeah, they deserve it. What if they can't afford it? Oh goodness, many of us will volunteer our own money. Even if it puts us in a position of hardship, that's okay. We're so excited to see them get help. I can't tell you how many compassionate people I've known who've taken on extra work, picked up a side hustle, pulled money from their own savings just to help someone they love deal with something hard. When it comes to them getting help, money's no object. But when it comes to us getting help, whoa. Suddenly we become incredibly frugal. We become hyper aware of every other possible use of our time, energy, resources. We come up with a million reasons why investing in ourselves is inappropriate, selfish, or even wrong. We actually believe it would be irresponsible for us to get the help we need, while we simultaneously cheer on our loved ones when they consider getting the help they need. Why is that? I invite you to explore this with me today because I've noticed an enduring pattern that blocks so many compassionate people from reaching the full level of healing, the full level of empowerment that's actually available to us. This is an inner block, and the inner block is massive, and it's deeply rooted in the spot where our self-worth is supposed to go. It's that I'm not worth it, or there's many forms this belief takes. How about I don't deserve better? It's okay that this is happening to me. I can take it. In fact, let me give you a real life example of how this plays out. So for those of you who are in, or maybe you have been in, a toxic relationship where somebody treats you badly, like it's not okay, let me ask you something. What if your dear friend was in a relationship exactly like the one you're in? What if your best friend was with someone who spoke to them the way you're spoken to? What if you witnessed someone treat your loved one the way you're being treated in your relationship? What would you say? How would you feel about that? And most of us would be viscerally upset. Like physically upset, emotionally, deeply upset. It would stir something big inside of us. We'd feel anger, sadness, urgency, panic. We'd be pacing the floor, staying up late at night, trying to figure out how to help them. We'd say, this is not okay. This cannot go on. You deserve better. Why are we upset that they're being treated badly? Because we know that they are beings of worth. We know instinctively, intuitively, naturally, it is not okay to treat a precious being of worth that way. We'd be rallying to support them, encouraging them to do whatever it is they need to do to get themselves to a better place. But now, please notice what happens when you are the one being treated badly. Notice how you talk to yourself about it. We tend to justify it. Well, it's not that big of a deal. They were just having a hard day. Or, okay, it's not great, but I'm strong, I can handle it. it's not ideal, but it only happens every now and then, so I'll be fine. It's okay. I'm probably making too much of it anyways. I'm probably being too sensitive anyways. Somehow it's okay that you're being mistreated. Because it's you as the target, it's not that big of a deal. If it's your dear friend being targeted, it's horrifying. But when it's us, we minimize it, we excuse it, we normalize it. Why is that? Why do we believe it's unacceptable for others to be treated that way, but somehow tolerable for us? Why do we feel that their dignity is sacred, but our own is negotiable? And I'll tell you one reason why this happens to us. It comes back to our sense of our own worth. It comes back to our own deep-seated beliefs about our own worth and how we see the other humans as worthy, but we do not see and understand ourselves to be beings of great worth. And because of that, and there's many other complicating factors as well, don't get me wrong, I just want to focus on self-worth today. And from a self-worth focal point, we have an almost impossible time taking action on our own behalf when it comes to matters related to worth, because we don't believe we're worthy. And when we do somehow manage to scrounge up the inner resources to take some sort of action, when we don't believe we are worthy of that action, it's so hard. Even the slightest movement forward is almost impossible. It's like our whole entire body is weighed down by 1,000 pounds of weight because there's this internal voice, that rock in the stomach that's like, yeah, you're not worth it though. Therefore, you're being selfish or wrong because you shouldn't need to be treated with respect. You should just be able to put up with it. You're not precious, therefore you're not worth being treated with preciousness. So even if we can figure out a way to help ourselves take action, it still feels like dragging ourselves through wet cement. That lack of self-worth makes everything 100 times harder than it needs to be. There's many difficulties involved when one is in a toxic relationship, but a toxic relationship is incredibly detrimental to our self-worth. Sometimes someone enters into a toxic relationship with a really solid sense of self-worth at first. Maybe they come from a really loving family and they've had a really beautiful sense of their own worthiness and value. But over time, in a bad relationship, you find that your amazing self-worth slowly gets eroded just by being in the constant presence of someone who continually does not offer even basic respect. Your self-worth might be strong, but you're also human, and humans respond to their environment. That's natural, that's normal. So even when we enter in with amazing self-worth, it might not completely destroy us altogether, but it still wears us down and it still does us harm. But here's the thing, most of us didn't enter adulthood with a strong sense of self-worth to begin with. Many times simply due to being raised in a world that sends deeply confusing and destructive messages our way about worth. Sometimes this is straight up from family of origin. There are families of origin that are just destructive. But many times our family of origin does its best, They do their best. They may have loved you truly and deeply, but you still grew up in a dominant culture that continually told you your worth depends on blank. One of the biggest missing pieces for compassionate people as we heal and come into our power is boundaries, because we've been trained not to have any. And I've experienced that not only in my own life, but with tons of people I've worked with as a therapist, fellow counselors, physicians, teachers, social workers, people who care. We know we need boundaries, but how? And then if we try to have some, we feel selfish, guilty, or mean. That's why I have such a strong focus on boundaries, because boundaries are integral to our empowerment. But people like us need to discover our boundaries in a way that actually works for our compassionate hearts. And that's what my Boundaries Breakthrough mini course is all about. It's just $19, it's packed with value, and it's so easy to do. You can get the Boundaries Breakthrough mini course at boundaried.com. That's boundaried with a D.com. The link is in the show notes, and I hope you have a blast in the mini course because it was really fun to make for you. We get this message about our worth in a number of different ways. Here are some common examples. For some kids and teenagers growing up, their worth perhaps becomes focused on their performance in athletics. You know, how many teenagers do you know who basically are the sport they play and how well they do in it? So when you have a teenager or a young adult is an athlete and has an injury that takes them out, they end up having a massive existential crisis and a complete shattering of their sense of worth because it's all been built on this external thing. For others, it may have been academic achievement. Who are you if you are not at the top of your class or achieving a certain goal? How much money you make, whatever it is, that's where worth is found, in this climb to be at the top. For some people, it's dependent on the size and shape of your body. You know, in some homes, woe to you if your body isn't a certain way. And how sad, right? Or sometimes it's how obedient and faithful you are to certain religious expectations. I remember one client whose worth depended on her reciting of scripture and adherence to the correct theological language and belief, the belief systems of the religion she was raised in. There's very little warmth in her home, just performance and perfection. But then again, in other homes, it might be about how tough you are, how much you can get away with. I remember working with this one client who grew up in a biker gang style family, and his dad would give him approval and affection when he beat other kids up. Like when he got kicked out of school for bullying someone, his dad would take him out for a treat. So it varies person to person, group to group, environment to environment, but the core message is always the same. Your worth is not inherent, it's conditional. It's on the outside of you, and you must perform for it. You must forever chase it. So even if you do manage to feel worthy every now and then, it's not sustainable because you don't get to keep it because you got to keep going after it. Because it's always shifting, it's always changing. You could potentially lose it at any moment. You're one misstep away from your worth being taken from you. You know, that's a house built on sand. It's horrible for our psychological and emotional health because that's not innate worth. It's externally given worth, and it's never enough. So no wonder so many of us struggle with self-worth as adults. Somebody might casually mention, you should really take better care of yourself, and we freeze because deep down, we don't believe we're worthy of care. Or maybe someone says, you should practice self-love, and we're like, I can't practice self-love. I don't deserve love. Why not? Because something deep inside of us, in our bodies, in our belief systems, and our programming whispers, because you're not worthy of love. You can't practice self-love if you don't think you're worthy. And the sad thing here is it doesn't really matter how many inspirational quotes you tape to your mirror, you know, and that's good, that's cool to do, but if the somatic experience, the felt sense in your body, and the mental and psychological programming given to us say that we are not worthy, then a quote on the wall is kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm. It's just not going to fix much. And why am I talking about all of this? Because this is one of the biggest stumbling blocks I see in people's ability to move deeper into their healing path, into their empowerment. You know, when something lives in the dark, tucked away deep in the subconscious, we may have a vague, uneasy sense that it's there, but we still can't see it. You know, we can't feel, taste, touch it. We can't trace where it came from, and as long as it stays hidden, we remain disempowered. But when we bring up these blocks, these dysfunctional beliefs up into the light, where we can see them, feel them, understand them, something begins to change. We begin to have choices, options. We begin to have understanding. Oh, wait, what? We see what's been running our lives, and then we can start looking for ways to move it. Because just because it's a big block in the way of your path doesn't mean it has to stay there. The cool thing about this is it also doesn't mean we have to wait to take action until that huge big block is completely gone. No, we can start moving forward anyways. We can say, okay, this is a deeply seated belief. It's probably not going to go away tomorrow. And yeah, it does literally feel like a boulder lodged in my solar plexus, and it does cause me trouble, but I am on a healing path. I am moving towards the fullness of who I am, period. And I'm going to trust that as I go, the support and help I need will come. My forward action will help me dislodge this boulder. I don't have to tackle the boulder all immediately right now, at this exact moment. I start moving forward and the boulder will begin to dislodge and be able to move. And when it's time to move it fully, I'll be ready. Because otherwise, if we wait until that boulder is gone before we ever take action, we'll never take action because it's never going to move. It doesn't move if we just sit there and look at it. We'll live our whole life with that boulder in our metaphorical stomach, and we'll stay disempowered because we'll be living with this constant, deep sense of low self-worth. And I refuse to accept that, and I refuse to accept that for you too. And there's so much power also in understanding we've been programmed to be this way. This isn't your fault. You didn't do it. You didn't ask for it. And guess what? You don't have to keep it. And the cure for this programming is not sitting around waiting for it to go away. The cure is to move towards the truth anyways. I know you've heard me say this before if you've worked with me at all, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's just the truth. The cure is to move towards the truth anyways. If humans are inherently worthy, and you and I believe that, right? We believe that about other humans. If humans are inherently worthy, then you are inherently worthy too. Even if you don't feel it, even if you are programmed otherwise. If a human being deserves support and healing and the chance to grow into their fullness, and you believe that, right? Then you, a human being, also deserve those things too. And I say that because a lot of us forget we're humans too. But you are. You're a human here in this time and space. And if humans matter, then you matter. If humans are worthy of love, care, healing, of personal evolution, then you are worthy of love, care, healing, and personal evolution. And if there are resources or opportunities that would help you step into that fullness, then please take them. Not just for yourself, though that would be reason enough, but for all of us. Because you know how it feels when someone you love finally gets the help they need, right? We feel relief, we feel joy, we feel hope, we cheer for them, we breathe a little easier. It is a blessing to us when they take care of themselves, isn't it? And their healing doesn't just impact them, it touches everybody around them. And the same is true for you. When you heal, when you take steps into your empowerment, into your wholeness, it changes the way you move through the world. It changes how you love, how you give, how you create. It impacts your family, your friendships, your work, your art, your community. It touches everything. Those people out there who engage in harmful behavior and continue to do so because they get away with it. And when compassionate people don't believe they deserve better, those people who are engaging in harmful behavior keep doing it. And sometimes this gets pretty intense because there are some people out there who operate as predators, and predators get away with a lot when kind, empathic humans are stuck believing that they don't have worth, that they don't have the right to heal, that they don't have the right to be treated with basic respect. Predators get away with stuff that they should not be getting away with. This happens at a micro level in personal relationships. This happens at a macro level in our systems, in our governments, in our societies, in our cultures. It is advantageous for those in power who want to do harm to have a population that doubts its worth. And I don't know about you, but that stirs a little healthy rebellion in me. Because this isn't just personal. Our healing, our growth, our decision to change, our decision to move towards our empowerment, that is revolutionary. And it's not just about you. Though, of course, it is about you too. But it's about us, all of us in the world we're co-creating, and all of the lives you're going to go on to touch as you step more fully into the fullness of your being. Whew. I mean, and the primary reason to heal, honestly, isn't because of what it does for the world. That is just a beautiful byproduct. But the biggest reason why is simply this. You deserve to take a deep, full breath and rejoice in the existence of your being. You deserve to stand up tall, head high, light in your eyes, joy in your chest, expanded into the richness of who you are. Do you want to see what's on the other side of the little box they put you in? Because I want that for you. I'm excited about that for you. But if you decide to wait until you feel worthy to start taking action towards your healing and growth, it's probably not going to happen. We have to take those steps anyways and trust that the feeling will rise as we go. Healing in the area of self-worth happens in process. It's catalyzed by movement. Because when you witness yourself begin to make needed changes and you see yourself step into more of who you really are, no matter how you feel, even if you don't feel like it, when you see yourself doing it anyways, it begins to shift how you perceive yourself, and that directly changes your sense of self-worth. Whew, exciting, huh? This next part isn't for everybody, but I know there's someone listening right now. Maybe that's you that I want to speak to directly. This December, I'm hosting a very special, intimate retreat in Maui at a holistic healing center. And the name of the retreat is Self-Worth Awakening. And it is designed for those who are ready to go deeper into their own healing and empowerment. And check this out. There will be just 12 participants. That's it. So this will be a highly personalized experience. Now, some of you listening have been to one of my 5-day retreats before, so you know what I mean when I say these are deep. One practitioner who came told me she felt like she'd done psychedelics the whole time, except there were no psychedelics involved. Just such profound inner work. She could feel her brain stretching out and changing the whole time. Others who've attended, and many of whom are happy graduates of my online boundaries program and called that life-changing, they said going to a live retreat took them to a whole new level. At a live retreat, I personally go into full healer mode. I use techniques and modalities that are best done in real time and space together. It's almost impossible to put into words. I have something very special to impart to the people who come. My giftings are here to help unlock compassionate people to step fully into their greatness. And so at a live retreat, I just go full on. So if you know that that's for you, if you want to be unlocked, if something inside of you says, yes, then I'd love to talk to you about that. The Maui retreat is not for beginners, so if you've never picked up a self-help book or done any kind of therapy, this is not for you. Most people who come to my retreats are healers in their own right. Others are business owners or entrepreneurs or medical professionals or artists. The list goes on, but they all have this sense that they need to come, that there's something that needs to move inside of them to make way for new expansion. And that is what we do. And let me tell you, it's so worth it. So, is that you? Is this your moment to say yes to taking precious care of yourself in this very special way? If you are feeling the pull, then right now, as of this recording, the Maui retreat in December is the only retreat left of mine with any availability. So if the idea of a small, soulful group doing meaningful, life-shifting work together in an intimate setting with me sounds good in beautiful Maui, then visit boundaried.com/retreats. Check the dates. If you feel your heart saying yes, book a consultation call with me and we'll talk about it together. I'd love to do that with you. I know that's not for everybody, but I wanted to say it as a personal invitation to you if you just heard in your heart, oh my goodness, I think this is for me. And let's talk. But for everybody listening, I want to leave you with some loving words of affirmation for your heart, for your body, even if your mind can't quite take it in just yet. Sometimes it's enough to just let the body listen. You are worthy by function of your being. When you were born, the air shimmered. You came into existence and you took your first breath, and that mattered. It is wild and wondrous that the atoms in your body arranged themselves just so that you could be here. And when you look at another human and feel their worth, you can know that you too are made of that same sacred material. The programming and what it tries to tell you about your worth, that is not true. That's just programming. You are truly worthy, and you are worthy of taking action on your behalf. You're worthy of healing. You're worthy of investing time, energy, even money into your growth when it's right for you. You are worthy. And until next time, remember, love is the way, and you are worthy of the same love you so beautifully gift to everyone else. My compassionate friend, I am so glad you're with us. We are the compassionate revolution. We are the change the world needs, and we're becoming it. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or give this podcast a 5-star review. I'd appreciate it so much. And if you'd like to get practical and work with me more closely on boundaries, you can come visit me at boundaried.com. That's boundaried with a D.com for amazing resources. Because this is how we do it. One action at a time. We are moving into our power. And I'm so proud to be in this movement with you.